Do you want to learn how to write your own cream or lotion formula? I know from experience it can be really overwhelming and it's hard to understand exactly everything that is required in a formula. So I'm going to give you a mini lesson today and make it really easy for you to figure out how to write your own formula and customize it. And by the end of this video, you should feel more confident and comfortable with writing your own custom formula. It doesn't have to be so difficult, and in fact, I think creams and lotions are some of the more easier things to formulate. So let's get started. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to write all this out for you so you can see for yourself how I'm writing this and filling in each area. So to start, we have a phase A, which is always the water phase. So all of the water-soluble heat-safe ingredients will go into this phase. We have water, which you can use, or you can use a hydrosol in place of the water. There are other things you can use too in the water portion, but for this video, we are going to keep everything really simple. Then we have a humectant that will go in the water phase. So glycerin is popular, propanediol is another humectant, and my favorite, propylene glycol. These are going to be the hydrating components, which I think should be included in every formula. They add hydration to your skin without the heaviness. And then we have a chelator, which is important. It binds metal ions in the formula, which helps you preserve. It helps your preservative work better. I usually either use sodium phytate or disodium EDTA. Both do the same thing. And then the B phase is the oil phase. So all of your oil-soluble ingredients will go into here. Your butters, your oils, and your tallow, if you want to use tallow, and your emulsifying waxes. And your thickener, if you use a thickener. Now, the amount of oils or butters you're going to use is dependent on your emulsifier, because some of the emulsifiers can't handle a large oil phase. Many of them can usually only handle around 20%. Plus, you really don't want a high percentage of oils or butters, as it will make your lotion or cream typically heavier and greasier feeling on the skin, especially if you're using heavier oils. So I suggest doing around 10 to 15% max of oils and butters, or just one or the other, or a combination. You have a lot of flexibility here with what oils you want to choose. You can go for really light ones like capric caprylic triglycerides or almond oil or liquid ester, or you could do jojoba oil, squalane, and you can do anything you want for the butters. You can do a mango or a shea, even tallow. There are so many emulsifiers to choose from. There's liquid ones, there's powdered ones that make gel creams. I would suggest starting with a simple, common one like cetearyl alcohol and ceteris 20, which usually is under the soft and silky name at most places or suppliers. Or you can use regular e-wax. And fully read the product descriptions at the supplier's website. Read the formulation description. It will say exactly how to use it and what percentage oil phase it can handle, and it will save you a headache. It will also tell you if it has a thickener included in the emulsifier or it's just an emulsifier on its own. If it's only an emulsifier, this means it will provide no thickening capabilities to your lotion. If it doesn't have thickeners in it, then add a thickener like the one that I listed. So we're going to look at some of these emulsifiers. As you can see, there's like a gajillion of them, and I'm just doing this to give you an idea and what to look for, just to help you out. So let's click on a random one. We'll do Montanov 202, and so we're going to fully read the description that shows up when you first click on it. And from reading that, there is no mention of a thickener at all. So this is just an emulsifier. So pay attention to that. It's got a mattifying effect, which sounds nice. Now let's look at the formulation guide. So reading this, it's just saying it goes in the oil phase. And here on the bottom, it says not to blend with an immersion blender after it is emulsified and cooled, or you could end up breaking the emulsion. So leave it alone after it's cooled and fully emulsified. So this is good information to pay attention to when you're reading. And right here too, we can see it can handle up to a 30% oil phase. That's good. So the usage rate is 3 to 5%. So if you want to use a higher oil phase, then use a higher percentage of the emulsifier since it has more oils to emulsify. And since this has no thickener in it, we will want to add one to this formula. Cetyl alcohol is a great one. It's cheap. It feels really nice on the skin. Or my favorite, bihenyl alcohol. So depending on how thick you want it, if you want a thinner lotion, then maybe do 1 to 2%. If you want a thicker one, then do 3 to 4%. You will have to play around with them and see which percentage is to your liking. So I hope that makes sense. We'll talk about this more when we write out the formula. So the emulsifier determines quite a bit of what other ingredients you'll need and how much oils or butters you can use. And remember, you don't need a ton of oils and butters. You can actually use a teeny tiny amount, like under 10%, and it will still be nice on the skin. So let's look at the C phase. This is going to be all your heat sensitive ingredients. Most preservatives are heat sensitive with the exception of like parabens or sodium benzoate and gluconolactone. You will need a preservative that is oil soluble and water soluble, so broad spectrum for both. And I would suggest using an easy preservative to start. Don't complicate it. Go with Germall Plus or Optifin Plus and read their full description and ensure it will be compatible with your formula. And a heads up, lewicidal liquid or lactobacillus ferment or radish root ferment are not sole preservatives, despite what the descriptions may say. So just a heads up with that. I usually do 1% with Optifin and 0.5% with Germall Plus. Also, if using Optifin Plus, definitely use a thickener with the formula. Even if there's a thickener in the emulsifier, whether that's a powdered thickener or an alcohol thickener, because it's really known for breaking emulsions. There's just something in it. I want to say it's the sorbic acid. But as soon as you add it, you'll notice your emulsion will thin out. So you want to add it very slowly at the very end when your emulsion's already formed and stir it in slowly. So there's just another tip for you if you're going to use Optifin Plus. We're also going to put our extracts in phase C. You want you can use any one you want, like calendula is my favorite, or you can do a green tea extract, a water soluble extract preferably. You don't need a high percentage of those, so keep it under 3%. You can do multiple if you want, more than one. And any actives or extras like niacinamide or panthenol, vitamin C or peptides, ceramides, anything like that, you would add in the C phase. So those would be extras. And most of those are also used in a lower percentage also. You don't want to have a huge C phase to add at the end of your emulsion when it's already formed. You want it to be a small phase. And then, of course, we have to have vitamin E to keep our oils in good shape. I usually do around 0.40%. And then the sodium hydroxide and citric acid is just the pH adjuster. So you won't know which one you need until the very end when you are checking the pH. And that's it. So I hope that was kind of easy, but we're going to write out a quick formula so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And I'm going to work backwards here. Okay, let's write everything out again. We're going to do the water phase. We're going to write out our water phase ingredients, the water, humectant, and the chelating agent. And then we're going to write our B phase, so the oils and butters. And then the C phase, I'm going to write in everything like before, but I'm going to actually choose the ingredients and the percentages now, because some of those we already know what the percentages are going to be based on their usage rates. So keep that in mind. So you always want to start backwards with the formula. You're going to start with the C phase, and all the ingredients you know are what percentage you're already going to be using it. You're just filling it in basically. So I'm just going to choose Optifin Plus for this preservative. So write 1%, write that in. And then vitamin E is next at, remember what I said, at 0.4%. So we're going to write that in. And then for my extracts, I'm just going to pick something. We'll just say calendula extract at 1%. We're going to write that in. And then for extras, let's just do panthenol at 3%, just for funsies. I'm going to write that in there, which you can do panthenol if you want it 3%. It's really nice. And now let's move up to phase B and fill in everything in that I think we should just pick the same emulsifier we looked at. Let's just do Montanov 202 to make it easy. And I recommend doing a 10% oil phase, so that's what we're going to do. And let's just do jojoba at 5%. And let's do another oil. Let's break it down. How about MCT oil at 3%? And then let's do shea butter at 2%. So that's a 10% oil phase. And then the Monotov said 3 to 5%. So since we have a smaller oil phase, I think 4% will be plenty to emulsify it. And we definitely want to add a thickener to this, since remember Montanov said that it's just an emulsifier. So let's do cetyl alcohol at 3%. So we're going to write that in. And I want this a bit thicker, so I think 3% is a good number to thicken it up nicely. And now we're going to move to phase A. And we know our chelator, which we'll just do sodium phytate at 0.15%. And regardless if you do disodium EDTA, they're both 0.15%. You can do it at that amount and it'll work just fine. So we're going to write that in. And for our humectant, I think I'm just going to do glycerin at 3%. Now we have our totals here. So glycerin too, FYI, you don't want to do anything over 5% with glycerin because it'll make it kind of sticky. And really any of the humectants, I think 5% and under is perfect. So we have our totals here, and we're going to add everything up that's written in, and that's going to give us our water percentage. So I just added everything up and it came to 25.55%. So now we're going to take 100% because every formula needs to add up to 100%. So we're going to take 100% and subtract all the ingredients totals from 100%. So 100 minus 25.55, which equals 74.45. And that is our water percentage. So we're going to write that in. And look at that. We have a complete formula here. See, that was not too hard. And I bet this is a pretty decent formula too. You should try it out and comment what you think about it. But now you can kind of play around with it and change the percentages. Just remember, anything you add or subtract, take from the water percentage. And you don't want to subtract or take away things that have to be there. So the chelator has to be there. The preservative absolutely has to be there. I would say vitamin E should definitely be in there. But the extracts, actives, those things aren't a must. But you can, and then the emulsifier, if you decide to use a different emulsifier, just ensure you're using the correct percentage and it's going to be compatible with your preservative and everything else. You want to make sure the preservative is also going to be compatible with your formula. But yeah, I hope that was easy. Enter your questions below. I would love to hear your thoughts. This is a pretty basic overview, but this is basically how you write out a formula. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. And yeah, please like and subscribe. And hopefully we'll be doing more instructional videos like this and more explanations. So yeah, have a good one.